top Democrats unveiled a sweeping new set of proposals aimed at reforming policing policies across the country. The bill, called the Justice in Policing Act, would make it easier to prosecute police for misconduct, ban chokeholds, and attempts to address institutional racism. It would also allow people to sue police to recover damages when their constitutional rights are violated by law enforcement officers. It comes 2 weeks after nationwide protests in response to the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police. While speaking on Capitol Hill Monday, Senator Kamala Harris said the legislation is not aimed at helping just one demographic.
And let's be clear, reforming policing is in the best interest of all Americans. It is literally in the best interest of all Americans, because this is a basic matter of fairness and, as so many have said, justice.
Nancy Cordes and Molly Hooper join me now. Nancy is a CBS News chief congressional correspondent, and Molly is a CBSN political contributor. Welcome to you both. Nancy, I want to start with you. This bill represents one of the most dramatic changes to policing policy that we've seen in decades. What are some of the potential roadblocks that Democrats might face in trying to get this passed?
The biggest roadblock, no question, will be the Republican-led Senate and then, of course, the White House. Democrats are pretty united at this point around the bill. They want to move very quickly. Karen Bass, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, just told me she's hoping that there will be a final vote in the House in just a couple of weeks. But Senate Republicans have been very non-committal, both about the specific policy items in this bill and whether they're willing to embrace any kind of major police reform legislation. And so it's an open question, if the bill does get through the House, whether the Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, will even bring it up in the Senate, or if he'll try to bring up something else instead, or if he will just hope that the issue kind of dies down and he won't have to bring up any legislation. And then beyond that, the White House is already weighing in, not embracing any particular police reform policy, but saying that one of the major initiatives in this bill is a non-starter. They say the idea that you would reduce prosecutorial immunity for police officers, make it easier to prosecute them when they have committed police brutality. They say that's a non-starter because it would cause police to pull back and it would make communities less safe. So that is going to be a major issue of contention because it is really one of the centerpieces of this bill.
So, Molly, just to jump off of what Nancy was saying, do Democrats believe that the Senate could pass this legislation, given how the chamber has struggled recently to pass a bipartisan bill making lynching a federal crime?
Well, I think if you go to today's earlier press conference, it may have been Nancy who asked the question of the members who are up on the podium, behind the podium. How many of you believe that this can actually get through? All of them raised their hands because this is a moment unlike any other that we have really seen in our history, and that's according to John Lewis, who is the conscience of the Congress, a civil right leader in his own right, of course, back in the '60s. Who and I was quoting one of the members at that press conference, who says that this is the groundswell of protesting that we are seeing against these practices. It's something that they haven't seen ever, really. And if Congress can move forward with the reforms in the '60s, then if people keep up the pressure, the White House is going to have to do something. And again, we're unclear which direction that will take. But you'll hear Republicans like Leader McCarthy bring up the issue of perhaps lessening the power of the police unions so that various police forces can get rid of the so-called bad actors. Potentially creating a national database. This is something that's in that police justice bill the Democrats are putting forward, a database that would report officer misconduct. But again, those reforms don't go as far as the Democrats would like.
I want to turn to another topic, Nancy, and ask you about Senator Chuck Grassley, who has moved to halt consideration on 2 Trump administration nominees until the White House offers more information about why it fired 2 inspectors general. Has there been any explanation for those yet?
The White House did send a letter to Grassley, but the explanation basically amounted, Elaine, to the president has the right to hire and fire top officials, including inspector generals. And of course, he does have that right, but the statute also says that he needs to provide an explanation to Congress when he decides to fire an inspector general, because this is, after all, someone who's supposed to be independent and looking at misconduct within the various agencies. Grassley was clearly not satisfied with the explanation that he got from the president's lawyers, and so he's taking this very unusual step, a Republican holding up a couple of nominees that were submitted by the president of his own party. But Grassley is a longtime ally of whistleblowers and IGs alike. He wants to know why Steve Linick, the State Department Inspector General, who was actually interviewed by lawmakers last week, and Michael Atkinson, the Inspector General for the intelligence community, why exactly it is that they were let go. Is it because they did things that made the president uncomfortable, even if they were justified? And so that's why Grassley is taking this step. Interestingly, Elaine, he tweeted directly at the president saying, hey, President Trump, you know, Steve Linick was one of the guys who helped get to the bottom of Hillary Clinton's email server when she was the Secretary of State. So he's someone that Grassley really relied on, and he's sad to see him go.
I mean, Molly, in our final minute left here, how likely is it that Senator Grassley will sort of let this go? It sure doesn't sound like it from what Nancy's saying.
No. I mean, he's like a dog with a bone. Senator Grassley, when he sets his sight on something, he does not let go. He's relentless, regardless of which party, you know, it impacts. And this is an issue that Senator Grassley will not let go. I would bet anything on it, really, frankly, because again, Senator Grassley, he's a man of his principles, and when it comes to government accountability and protecting the taxpayer dollars and so forth, and sunshine laws, that's one of Senator Grassley's most important topics. And again, I would not anticipate him letting this go.
All right, Nancy Cordes and Molly Hooper, great to see you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.